just before I press record, I thought I'd have a little swig. It's nothing, it's just orange squash. I probably should have something a little bit stronger, considering I've just had to watch 90 minutes of that rubbish. But anyway, I thought I'm about to do the video, wet the palate, I'll have a little swig of orange squash. You see, and I've just. So I know, if you see it, I know. I'm going to carry on anyway. Anyway, um, not so much a review, but more a few observations with regard to what West Ham are going to have to deal with. Now, and when I say deal with, in terms of international football and in terms of the European campaign, I touched a little bit on this when I did the review straight after yesterday's game, or today's game, as I'm speaking now. I think when we knew that Antonio was signing up to play for Jamaica, there were a number of us that were worried about it. But what seemed to be the general consensus and what seemed to be the majority of comments around Antonio was, what happens if he gets injured? We know he's injury prone. We know that he's likely to get a knock. And even if you look into this game, there was a point when he was holding his back. I'm sure, just like me, you all thought, oh, no, not again. There was another point where he ended up on the floor clutching something, a leg, something like that, and then the camera panned to the other end of the pitch, and I was left thinking, well, how's Antonio? And we didn't know until the camera panned back, and you got to see he was okay, and he was running round again, but it was another, that's a lucky one. You're always worried that he's about to get injured. So when he signed up for the international excursion, let's say, or the experience with Jamaica. I say international experience, it's like a red letter day. You can actually buy it. Well, become an international footballer for a game. You can give it to your loved one as a Christmas present or something. Anyway, when he signed up for it, we thought, oh, what happens if he gets injured? What I didn't see, and what I certainly didn't think of myself, were too many comments saying, but think about the fatigue. It's not just about injury. It's wholly plausible for him to go away, not get injured, but come back absolutely cream crackered. And that's what we saw here. Because whilst he didn't seem to have pulled a hamstring or anything like that, it had definitely taken its toll out of him. A lot of our players looked like a bunch of guys who'd spent the last 2 weeks travelling around on planes, trains and automobiles and whatever else, and just staying in hotels. And they looked like they'd been anywhere but the training pitch. And I don't think it necessarily manifested itself in fitness, because I do think these are highly tuned athletes. I do think that they can handle the excursion and a lot of the physical parts of it, but actually it takes a mental toll. Anybody that's ever travelled abroad, even if it's just on holiday, you go on holiday, you relax, you come back, you're absolutely knackered. It's usually, unless you're younger and you've been on a naughty holiday, it's usually because the travelling, the flights and all that stuff, it absolutely knackers you out. And I just looked at Antonio and thought there was nothing unfit about him, but he had no spark. There was no real spark. Now I looked at Benrahma and I saw the same thing. And my word, if there's any player that needs spark, it's Benrahma. That's what he delivers. I made the comparison to with Fornals. And Fornals, of course, has played for Spain. And whilst I don't think we saw the Fornals that we'd seen in the previous games, you don't have Fornals in your team just because he's likely to do a few step overs and curl it into the top right hand corner and do some wonderful tricks and flicks and impact the game with technical brilliance. That's not why Fornals is in the team. But I would suggest it's why Benrahma's in the team. Benrahma ain't in the team where he's tackling and he's heading. Put it that way. He ain't in there because he's going to run around the midfield snarling and start sliding and tackling people. But Fornals is. That's why Fornals gets played out of position on the left, and he gets played there because his work rate is so ferocious that he covers Cresswell. And he also, why sometimes when Moyes plays him in the middle, he knows that he can play him as a number 10 because really he's playing 3 in the middle, because Fornals will get back and help out Souček and Rice if they're going to get overrun. So Fornals very much is in there. We discussed it when I did the Fornals loving video the other day. You look at his stats, he runs as much as anybody in the Premier League. So I think he can get away with not having the sparkle for a game or two, would not score and would not assist him because he's probably doing his other job. And I'm pretty sure you'll see that his work rate, the amount of miles covered or whatever the case may be, his heat map was comparable. But I think when there's people that are in the team, and I use Antonio and Benrahma purely to create and score, I think when that doesn't happen, then you do have a problem. And you certainly have a problem when a team is sat back and defending. And it's not, as I said, it's no coincidence to me that the one guy that probably was sat at home, that didn't get on a plane and wasn't staying in a hotel, was Bowen, because Bowen looked sharpest. Just my opinion. That's what I thought. He looked fit, he looked ready, and he looked sharp up there. All the twists and turns. He just looked like he was up and ready for it. He didn't look tired. But West Ham are going to have to deal with this, and we're going to have to deal with the fact that we do have better players. Because if you have, this is what Man United and teams like that have dealt with for years, and they're very, very good at it. The irony again is something that really struck me as, well, it wasn't sort of working for us. We were looking for a goal near the end. We brought Yarmolenko on there. Yarmolenko should be fit as a fiddle for us, but actually he looked tired because he's not playing any games for us really. But he played 3 for Ukraine, so again he looked absolutely knackered. It was that desperate shot again. I'm not suggesting Yarmolenko doesn't try and curl it in from there, but take a touch first and then try and do it is exactly the same that he did against Crystal Palace as well. It's desperate. He's almost desperate to score the last gasp winner. The other thing we're going to have to deal with, aside from players going away for international duty and coming back knackered, is we're going to have to deal with the chopping and changing of the team in between European games. That's not a factor yet. We won't know. We won't know how. We will start to know on Thursday, and then we'll know again on Sunday after we've played Manchester United. But we'll deal with that when it comes to it. But there was one other thing that that really struck me about this, and that was, it's now been 2 games where I felt the opposition have started the game to hinder us, to stop us. I felt their tactics were to thwart West Ham. I state the bleeding obvious. Of course, it's always an opposition tactics to stop the opposition team, yes. But I think West Ham have been so inconsistent for so long and for so many years that a lot of teams' answer to counteract us is to attack us. And I think we're seeing now is people actually treating us like a team that's playing European football. So they're going to sit back. I don't think Man U will, to be fair, but we're going to see it. We're going to see it more from the teams that might expect themselves to finish in the bottom half of the table. And don't get me wrong, I'm not so arrogant as West Ham. So we won't finish in the bottom half of the table. I don't think we'll get relegated, but I'm not saying West Ham are so far elevated now that we won't finish 12th. We possibly could. My point is, it's how the other teams are looking at us, and the other teams are looking at us, looking at the fact we're in Europe, looking at how we started the season, looking at our attack and thinking, actually, we need to sit back against these guys. These guys are a threat. Teams are looking at Antonio, teams are looking at Benrahma, and they're thinking, okay, what can we do to negate what they're good at? Well, actually, there was a couple of things they did. They denied Antonio space to run into, which I think also didn't help. They packed. They really, I wouldn't say they quite parked the bus, because later on I thought they counter-attacked really well. But in the first half, they did really park the bus for quite a considerable amount of time. And you can see that when people thought we were crap, we got less possession. They kept the ball. Now people are saying to us, right, you have the ball and we'll sit back. And so we're getting more possession now, I've noticed. So you didn't really have the space to operate in. Well, if you don't have that space to operate in, then you need fast thinking, you need to move the ball quickly, you need triangles, you need dribbling, you need an exceptional solo goal. We just weren't inventive. There's no spark. We weren't creative enough to do that. Again, it's something else we're going to have to get through. So the other thing that I really want us to do when games are tough, and I don't mind that, that's a byproduct. And when I say that, I mean teams sitting back and showing us more respect and being more defensive against us is a byproduct of us doing well. So I don't mind. But I do want us to start looking and trying to deal with it in other ways. And I actually wrote down, so I've still got my notes from the game there, and I actually wrote down on there about Souček. Souček should be forward. At the point where we are struggling to get a few goals, then I want him in the box to get more crosses in. But it's something I thought Southampton did very well, which denied Cresswell and Soufal space to cross. I don't believe they were under instruction not to cross, but look how many crosses Dave did during that game. And that's a testament to how well Southampton played. Southampton obviously looked and said, deny Antonio space and deny the fullbacks the ability to cross. As soon as they get wide, get close to them. So we had to stop. They'd have to turn around, would recycle the ball. They didn't have an impact on the game, really. And with that in mind, I just think there's something we're going to have to try and do something else to get other people that are going to be able to cross and cross well. Cross well as opposed to crest well. Bad gag. These are things that we are going to have to address. These are things we're going to have to deal with. If we want good players, they're going to play international football. If they're going to play international football, they're going to come back not quite as fresh as they might be. If that's the case, then let's try and deal with it. But we're still learning. Oh, funny, I would expect somebody like Souček to be more experienced at it. I know he's... How old is Souček? 24, 25? Something like that. He's not an old guy, but he's an experienced international footballer. He's played in big tournaments. He's played in qualifiers. I would expect him to be able to manage his own, not so much fitness, but his own well-being. So as he is in peak tip-top condition when he plays the next league game, I expect him to manage that himself. I totally would understand that Mikel Antonio Mo came back from international football playing for Jamaica. It was Jamaica v Panama, wasn't it? I would totally understand that he comes back thinking, what the hell was all that about? What's going on here? And be absolutely knackered. But hopefully he has to learn from that. But we need to be better at it. We certainly do. I won't go into the red card and all that again. Already done so. And obviously... Gio and Bez spoke about it yesterday in the video that they uploaded, and immediately after the game. It's already... do you know what? Older Vlasic, we'll deal with him. We'll deal with him tomorrow. We'll have a little chat about him tomorrow, because there are some good positives as opposed to bad positive. There are some positives to take out of the game. Just a little bit disappointing. I think we all get ourselves built up for these things, and I was very, very excited about it. And I guess in many respects, I think that the 2-2 draw against Crystal Palace is infinitely better than the 0-0 loss. You just get a 0-0 loss. There you go. There you go. That's how positive my mindset is. I'm so positive that I now view a 0-0 draw as a loss. It wasn't a loss. We got a point. Not two. We got a point. And that's 7 undefeated in the Premier League. That's a good thing. We're a decent team. We're a decent team with international players. And unfortunately now, we're going to have to deal with the international players going away, and also deal with the fact that other teams know we're a good team. So they're going to park the bus against us. And as much as we are disappointed and think that was 2 points lost for us, I wouldn't be surprised, bearing in mind Southampton's start to the season, if Southampton are looking at West Ham, looking at how we finished last season, looking at how we started playing this season, if Southampton went into that game looking to get a point, and actually they're the team that come away thinking, actually, we're quite happy with that.